we've got about 15 minutes ish right under that. So I want to hit any topics that you want to put out there or want to cover, particularly for like the single adult community, when they're navigating entering into relationships. That's the biggest questions or comments or posts that people make in the singles group that I run, the Grown Ups Table, is there's a lot of just, how can I be better at this? Finding a solid relationship, making a relationship work, not getting blown off, not getting rejected. I mean, there's every question you can imagine, but there's not a lot of answers that people get that are substantial. They're kind of all generic. And so I wanted to give you a chance. If you have anything, like if you could talk to a group of, a couple of thousand single Christian adults, what do they need to know to not go into these dangers, not hit these pitfalls that you see regularly?
So I did an entire seminar and I called it The One, and it was on how to find the one. That was what the seminar was about, like how to do it, right? And so I'm going to give you the basic skeleton. And I usually use 4 words to help when people come to me for that.
Okay.
So it's become, know, go, and show. Become, know, go, show. Remember those 4 words.
Okay.
So the first step is to become the one, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of focusing on finding the one, focus on becoming the one. Now, here's the beautiful thing about that. What does that mean? It means that you want to think about how you are, and there's a lot of books that I get. So it's like whenever I'm talking, I'm pulling from a whole bunch of different books.
Same here. I feel you.
Yeah. So this is from, Camille Virginia, Offline Dating Method, how, a man's guide to a woman, a lot of books. All right. So this concept means that whenever you talk to anyone, you want to have the same script and the same tone. That means, think about talking to your best friend, right? So however you are with your best friend, you just want to be like that with absolutely positively everybody, right? And you take that mindset into dating, right? So the reason for that is because you're basically looking for your person and thus a match, right? Again, agreement. But you're not going to find that unless you are acting this way with everybody. So one of the key ways that you can become really the one for someone, like if you think about sense of humor, for example. All right, so if you think about the kind of jokes you tell with your best friend, you tell those jokes with everybody. And that's how you kind of fish for your people, right? So if you're trying to go out on a date, you tell this joke and they just kind of look at you. Okay, just not one of your people. Your people are going to think you should take your show on the road. They're going to think you're just one of the most hilarious people they've ever met. Right? That's what you're looking for. But I cannot stress enough, you don't need to focus on lines. You don't need to focus on techniques. You don't need to focus on any of that. You need to focus on who you are at your core and showing up like that everywhere, right? So the analogy is the way you show up with your best friend, because according to John Gottman, the way that you know you found the one is you feel like you're enough, or they're enough. I mean, smart enough, funny enough, attractive enough, enough. That sense of enoughness, right? Well, take that back to scripture, naked and not ashamed, right? So basically with the become phase is becoming naked and not ashamed. If you're an introvert, go to parties like an introvert goes. You really want kind of like this, the way that therapists think about it. When we go through training, we at least from systems theories that I've studied, we're not focusing on using skills. We're focusing on skillfully being, right? So I'm going to skillfully be in a relationship with you, right? That's what I'm modeling. I'm showing up. So that's becoming the one for someone. The next is know. Remember, I said become and know. So you have to think, okay, what do I need? And a key word, need, in order to feel as intimately connected as humanly possible with another person. What do I need? You can think of that from an attachment theory perspective, love language perspective, but you really want to get to be as vulnerable with yourself as, okay, what do I need for this? Now, once you know that, you want to go where that person will most likely be, right? Know, become, go. Now, that involves 2 principles. Proximity, meaning there's an attraction principle that basically says that typically you're going to find your person where you're at. In the grocery store, like my brother found his wife, just wherever you are, they have to be there, right? But also you want to find, okay, if you're a dog person, your life revolves around dogs, and most likely you need a dog person. And where are you going to find that person? Dog store, dog park, etc. So you want to go where that person most likely would be. And then you want to show that person to a designated truth teller, because there's research that shows that there's a 75% chance that your designated truth tellers will be able to say spot on, actually 80%, 85%, that they will have an 85% chance of being more accurate than you are in terms of seeing that enoughness that we're talking about, right? And then there's research that shows that total strangers armed with information that I'm giving, they have a 75% chance of just looking at you and say, yeah, you guys are good for each other, right? So like, your mom, your best friend, your therapist, like these are designated truth tellers. So become, know, go, and show are the 4 things that I give people in terms of actually a blueprint for finding the one for them. And I expound on that, right? But what I just said is actually enough. Like basically, if you now these 4 things assume intentionality, right? They assume awareness. They assume that this is not going to just happen, right? Any more than finding a job will just happen. Like, I tell people to think about it like that. Nobody ever says, well, I guess it's God's will for me to be homeless. When the time is right, I'll get groceries. Right? Nobody ever does that. So it's like but this goes back to attachment theory, James Michael. Typically, before I can do this, or before I can focus on intentionality, I have to say, is this a need that you have? Do you feel like God is saying to you, it is not good for you to be alone? And most of the time they hesitate, whatever. It's like, just be straight up. Like, do you want to be alone? Do you think you would be okay? Once they finally say, no, I'm not okay, then we can start. Yeah. But usually until I can get them to say that, because most of the people are struggling with, they should feel like they're okay. You should be okay by yourself. You should be, and sometimes, unfortunately, like singles ministries kind of put that in people's heads where you shouldn't. Time. Yeah.
Be content. And be content in your singleness. Be content in your season.
Just date Jesus. Date Jesus and be content in your, and just, and they come to me struggling with that. That's like, am I a bad Christian because I don't want to just date Jesus? I was like, was Adam bad when God said it wasn't good for him to be alone? I mean, Adam had God, and God said that, right? So I think step 1 I usually give people is embrace the need for this first and foremost. Embrace it as a need according to attachment theory, according to Scripture. Because it's a need, just like when you need a job, you have to intentionally get that need met, right? Once you put those 2 things in place, become, know, go, and show. Those are the 4 things. And I did an entire seminar on that. Like that, It took me like 4 hours to go through all of this. Yeah. But I'm just giving the skeleton of it.
Well, that's good. No, because maybe in the future we can talk about doing something collaborative and getting that information to people, particularly to like the Grown Up Stable group or viewers of this channel or something. But because it's stuff that churches either don't care to teach because they view it as that's peripheral to our job. We're saving souls, we're feeding hungry people, we're sending missionaries, like we're doing church. So they don't look at developing relational, emotional health, particularly among adults who are not married and looking to marry, or they want to do it, but they just don't know how. And so they're like, well, let's hire this person as a singles pastor that's been married for 35 years and just have them teach studies of Song of Solomon or like, I don't know. I mean, they're doing something. I give them credit. They're doing something, but there's not a real, I don't know. It's needed. It's needed. And hopefully people watching at least are starting to realize there's nothing unspiritual about therapy, about relational EQ, emotional, whatever EQ stands for, the emotional version of IQ. All of this stuff is needed. And it's really important. So I want to have you back on for sure. Maybe we'll get some viewer questions. We can do this again.
Yes.
And because I know you're like me, you love doing Q&A and can talk off the cuff on something if you're passionate about it.
Yes.
And Olatunde, next time we come, I know people are going to want to know where did the name Olatunde come from, because he doesn't talk with a Nigerian accent, but he has a Nigerian name. What's up with that? So that will be for a future episode when Olatunde is back. We don't want to give it all away at one time. Man, it's always good to see you, my friend. And I so appreciate you coming on. Where can people either reach you or connect with you for professional therapy services, or just to follow if you're on social media, or if you're doing blogging, or how's the best way for them to find you?
So I'm a therapist at 180 Counseling, 180 Counseling, and you'll find my bio. Now, of course, you see my tat now, but when you look me up, it's going to be, every time you see me, it's going to be covered up. But basically, when you go online, you go to 180 Counseling. I'm at the Cary Morrisville office, and I do teletherapy for anybody that's in North Carolina, right?
Okay.
So that's the main way. And I have some blogs that's my therapy blogs are on that site. So I think I get a lot of clients who actually come to me because they've read those blogs. So I think those blogs are like a good source of information on relationships, because I try to write in such a way that, I mean, my job as a therapist is to make it so that I work myself out of a job. Like, I don't want people to need me or to need therapy.
Right.
But I try to give information to such an extent that you have enough where you don't even need to see me. But I think that's a good place to start.
Okay. Well, I'll put links in the description of this video when we get it posted up, and I'll encourage people check out Olatunde's writings. He's a trusted friend. I've known him. He probably, I count on one hand the number of people who probably know me as good as anybody in this world, and he is among those. So I'm so glad that you could be here on the channel, and we're gonna have you back, man. So I appreciate it, brother.
I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.